Alright, so what we're going to be doing today is doing the Heim joint mod to fix the foolishly absurd clutch pedal design on this 2000 year Ford. This process will apply to 1999 and up Ford F-Series Super Duty trucks, and it's quite similar for many other models, older and newer, F150s, etc. But this directly applies to these trucks. Now this is a pretty common issue on Ford manuals through the years, in the 90s, the 2000s, even before and later. So move the seat back. And just to start with, I always like to remove this kick panel. Sometimes you just need a flat blade screwdriver or a coin to get them to release if they're a little bit stubborn. But right there, that push rod, that bushing, you can see how that pin is completely worn out. That groove there is not supposed to be there. So see how that pops right off of there? That's a problem. Next now, I like to unplug a big tail here for the clutch safety switch, and then the clutch safety switch itself. And the way you remove it is to unclip this little clip and this little clip here, so that this whole piece right here can come off, and then the clutch safety switch can come off with that push rod. Okay, there's this piece off. Now that can come off like that. Okay, as you can see now, the push rod is free and the clutch safety switch is off. Now personally, to complete this job, I like to remove the master and slave from the truck so then you can work properly. So this fluid reservoir for the clutch system is just held on with two little Christmas tree clips. So remove that like so, carefully, not to break the clips because we're going to need them. And then to remove the master, which is down there, it's a push hard quarter turn to unlock, like so. That's it in the unlock position, and then pull it out like so. And then you can see the line down there. So that is free and clear. Down underneath the truck, line comes down around through here. This little clip pops into that hole in the body there. And then underneath, slave cylinder is the same thing. It's a push and quarter turn to release, just like that. Nice and easy. Now we can remove this assembly as one piece. After a little bit of fighting with it, there it is. So this system right here is what we're going to be replacing. These bushings are very prone to failure, especially when you have a heavier clutch. And then this is what we're going to be replacing it with. This is the Heim joint itself. As you can see, that's a significantly stronger and more sophisticated joint versus that piece of plastic and this piece of cast metal. As you can see, the hole in this joint is only drilled to about that edge right there. So what I usually like to do is cut it just forward of this ridge right here, and then file that ridge off. That way it'll bring this joint out just a bit, extending the rod a tiny little bit, which brings the clutch pedal farther up, giving you a little more throw in the clutch pedal. We'll just file that ridge off to make the Heim joint fit properly. Okay, so this is all filed smooth now, so then the Heim joint can slip on. And then what I like to do is tighten the set screw a little bit to make an impression on the piece. You can see the impression there. Now I can use a drill to drill a little bit of an indent there for that screw to really hold in properly, so then it doesn't fall apart down the road. See, that should make a good impression for the set screw to hold into. Now, based on personal experience, these like to come loose with time from movement, so I like to give it a little bit of red thread locker onto the set screw and then put it in nice and tight with that divot, that drilled divot, to keep it in place. See, that's already tightened up nicely, and we'll give it a good back and forth to get it to seat all the way, and then snug it as much as I dare. That's nice and tight. Now, to remove the clutch pedal, we have those two nuts there, that one and that one, and then up here there's that one and that one. They are 13 millimeters, so you just use a socket and whatever ratchet and extension works for you. Now, really difficult spot to film the removal, but there's two studs that come in from the top, the two nuts on the bottom. So once all four nuts are off, you can just pivot this down and out. And then once it's out, you can remove the spring that sits between these two. Now, as you can see, this pin here is completely worn out. So next step is going to be to cut this weld off the back and then knock that pin out, and then the bolt through the Heim joint is going to be replacing this pin. Personally, I like to remove these clips with a flat blade screwdriver and then take the pedal apart just to make it easier to work on. Like so. Don't lose the little nylon bushings. You need those. And that makes it nice and easy now to put it in the vise and work on it. You can cut it. Okay, so now I'm going to grind this weld off. An angle grinder would undoubtedly be better, but I'm working with what I got here. Okay, so once this is ground down to the point where you can see the outline of the pin in the material, then you can just punch it out with a hammer and a punch. Like that. And there you can see just how worn out that pin is. To do is just lubricate these bushings a little bit, help them last a little longer. Another common issue of these pedal assemblies is that once these nylon bushings go bad, the shaft will start spinning in this aluminum bracket and wear out the bracket. So using the lubrication on the bushings and ensuring the bushings are good helps minimize the chances of that happening. There's that. That bushing all the way back in again. Just like that. Now to install this spring, put that in there. pull that into position there, and then just like that. Okay, now next step being to reinstall the pedal assembly. Turn my light on so I can see what I'm doing, and then snake it in however it works. Always fun getting it past the ECM on the side. Get the front 2 studs through, and then just like that. Now I just got to get my nuts started. Reversive removal, tighten my nuts back up.
Okay.
Now the 2 nuts on the inside are in slotted holes, so I like to snug the 2 nuts on the outside here just ever so gently so that it pulls the pedal all the way forward in the slotted vertical studs, and then not too tight so that it can move a little bit, and then go inside, tighten up the 2 nuts on the pedal, and then come back out here and give these their final torque. So now with the 2 nuts on the outside snugged up, these 2 are pulled into the correct position in the slots. So now I can go give the ones on the outside their final torque. And now we can feed this assembly back in. I like to install it from the top. I just find it a little easier to go in from the top. Now this slave cylinder down and around under the steering column, it's a little bit of a pain to snake it past everything. And then the master cylinder, put the push rod back in through the hole again, like that. And then this line routes underneath the brake master cylinder like this. Next, insert the master cylinder from the outside, making sure that this little wavy washer, if I can even get my hand down there, making sure this little wavy washer is on the master cylinder, because that's what keeps spring tension on it so that it doesn't come loose. So it's again about 45 degrees left or to the right. Push it in hard and then it'll lock into position. Okay, that's it locked back into position, and that rubber boot around the hole just kind of pushes in. It's got a lip around the outside, and you just massage it in with your fingers until it locks into the hole. Next thing is you come back underneath and reinstall the line and the slave cylinder. So like said, this little guy clips into this hole in the body right here, right there. Okay, that's in there. And then making sure that this push rod is in slave where it's supposed to be, and then you just put it back up into its home. And quarter turn to lock it, just like that. Okay, that is the slave cylinder installed in the bell housing. And now for the magic act of bolting the Heim joint to the pedal. Here's the bolt. It's a 5/16 Allen key. I like to use the lock washer on the bolt side so then I don't lose it. And then I like to use this washer between the Heim joint and the pedal, just to space it out a little bit to avoid clearance issues. You'll see what I mean once it's bolted together. I will tell you, this stuff up underneath the dash is no fun at all. It never is. And this part kind of sucks. You got to get this bolt through the pedal assembly, like so. And then this washer here, it's got to go on the back side of the bolt. And then this Heim joint also has to go on the back side of the bolt, so you got to push the pedal down a little bit. Okay, that's kind of started on there. Now I can run that bolt through the rest of the way and put the nut on the back. The hole is a little bit of a tight fit, so running that bolt all the way through the pedal. and then put the nut on the back side. Hold the nut with the 9/16 wrench and then snug it with the ratchet and the 5/16 Allen bit. Now, one downside to this mod is the clutch safety switch won't work anymore. So to make your engine start and to make your cruise control work again, you've just got to bypass this setup right here. And one way to do that is to take two of these little connectors, and you've basically got to jump these two pins and these two pins there. So I'm actually going to go get a pair of side cutters and I'm going to cut the backs off of these and tape it up. But there is a connector that you can plug into here and plugs into this. All the automatic trucks have it, and it bypasses those two circuits for you. So then you don't have to jumper them temporarily like this. Okay, now I've just cut the backs off of these and opened up the little crotches in them just a little bit to get them to go in a little farther. And a little bit of electrical tape to keep it from shorting out on anything. I'll order the actual Ford plug. I'll put up a picture of it and the part number so you can get your own, and then I'll show what that looks like once it's hooked up. Here's what that part looks like plugged in, and it just goes into a little bracket up here, but you can also just put the plastic Christmas tree clip into that hole and just have it there. All the automatic trucks have this, so you can either order it off of eBay or just go to the auto wrecker and grab one out of an automatic truck and plug it in on your manual, and your cruise control will work and it'll start just fine. So now we can put this kick panel back on and we are done. Alright, and the kick panel's back on now. So now you can see how this pedal sits a little bit higher than this one because of the fact that I made that rod a little bit longer. And that gives you just that little bit of extra throw that we oh so desire with these trucks. So now we've got a nice healthy clutch throw, and look at that, only maybe half an inch of pedal play, which is totally acceptable. That's actually, for the most part, the movement of the piston, well, the push rod in the piston itself before it starts to actuate it. So that's a heck of a lot better. And you can see the Heim joint there, if I could get it to focus, on the pedal and the push rod. Pretty clean setup. And then with the with that plug bypass the way it is, your cruise control will work and you'll just be able to start it without pushing the clutch down. So be mindful, don't hit anything. Obviously I assume no responsibility for anything that may happen from disconnecting the clutch safety switch. Use at your own risk. It is a little bit of a process, but it's the only way to make these clutch pedal assemblies reliable on these trucks, and they're a heck of a truck in every other way, shape, and form, so worth it in my opinion. Alright, so that concludes that video. Do my outro here back home in chilly Canada. I was down in Arizona, if you couldn't tell by the red dirt and the Arizona license plates, helping my mom out do that repair on her truck for her. Hopefully the video helps a few people out, and I'll catch you on the next one, and thanks for watching. Bye now.